Hi there, Rick here. Um, I received a few days ago, um, the letter in the mail, City of Vancouver, the property tax. Um, just wanted to show it to you here. Okay, so you see that amount there, okay, 5416.64. So $5,416. I still remember when it was, under $5,000, something like 48 or 49,000, or sorry, 4,900, right? Um, so I know that I heard that there's a lot of people, around Vancouver not paying their property tax. Um, I just heard that, what happens, is, when you die, then the city takes control of your home and, sells the home to pay for the property, all the years of property tax that you didn't pay, okay? Um, I remember watching, uh, YouTube video. This man, he talks a lot about finance. His name is Robert Kiyosaki, okay? He lives in the States, okay? And, he was saying that, you know, um, your house is not an asset, okay? And there was a lot of people disagreeing with him, okay? And I can see his point there, okay? Because he was saying, your house is not an asset. Just try not paying your property tax and see what happens, okay? So he's got a really good point there, okay? And I agree with him, okay? Your house is not an asset because, what happens if you don't, um, pay your property tax, right? The home goes up for sale. The bank takes control of your home, goes up for sale. And you have to remember, there's interest, okay, too, on this property tax if you don't pay it, okay? So it's compounding itself annually, okay? I can see very easily, um, it compounding to easily 100 grand, okay? Maybe even a lot more than that, okay? Because you have to remember it's the interest is compounding on the interest too, plus the principal, okay? Whatever money you own, okay? Doesn't take long, okay, for it to, accumulate over such a large amount, okay? Um, you know, the I know that the city workers, yeah, I had a worker, working for me. He also told me, he works part-time for the city too. They make like 30 some odd dollars an hour, okay? Um, I was gonna say too, it's just very difficult for to work for a lot of other employers for, 30 some odd dollars an hour, okay? Um, and, should my question is, should property taxes even be that high, because it's going up every year, okay? And you have to remember too, are people's wages going up? I was gonna say that, a lot of people's wages are not going up, okay? I still remember when I asked for a raise, because my expenses were going up, right? The boss, didn't even give me a raise. What happened was he laid me off, got somebody else. So, a lot of people might say, what a lousy boss, right? But this property tax, it covers, okay, sewage, um, what else, taking the garbage, right? Green bin, sewer, street cleaning, water, okay? I'm just reading off here what it says on it. Water dwelling. General levy, okay, $1,815, okay. So, there's a lot of expenses in here, okay? And, in my opinion, right, I just feel that, property tax should not be this high, okay? If anything, okay, it should be, well, I was going to say a more reasonable amount, $2,000, okay? Not like $5,400, okay? And, I don't blame a lot of people, live in Vancouver, for, you know, demanding a high wage, right? You know, um, just because, look at some of the expenses, okay, they have, right? Um, property tax, like I say, $5,400, right? So this is just one of the letters that I get, during the year. There's another, letter that comes from the city of Vancouver too, for the same amount, okay, about $5,400. So you have to pay this amount twice a year, okay. That's what, it's over 10 grand. Yeah, over 10 grand. I remember talking to one of my customers who lived out in Tsawwassen. Okay, we're just talking about property tax. I know that they have a water meter out there, and they have to. Somebody comes by, checks the water meter. You have to, pay for your water. Okay. And I was just telling him how, yeah, we don't have that in Vancouver here. I also told him how much, I have to, pay in property tax. Okay. I doubt in Tsawwassen, okay, their property tax is this high. To take a guess, between 2,000 to 2,500, okay. And he needed some different things, okay, done around the home, okay. And he just got one thing done from me, okay, just some woodwork, okay. But there was a casement window in the washroom, okay. It wouldn't close properly. There was about I guess about a 2-inch gap at the bottom. And I gave him a price, okay. It wasn't even that high. It was actually on the low side. And he didn't go for it. Yeah. He just said that, he was just he just had a very low budget, okay. And even, yeah, to have a 2-inch gap, in your window, okay. I told him you're heating the outside, right? And he said, yeah, I know. So I just mentioned to him, try to get it done, before the winter, or even before the fall, that matter, right? Because your furnace is going to be running a lot harder. If you have your washroom window, a big 2-inch gap at the bottom, because you can't close it properly. Basically, he needs some, new hinges for the casement, okay? And that's what, I was trying to, change out for him, right? So I'll just read you off some of the other levies, okay? provincial school tax, net provincial school tax, TransLink, okay. BC assessment. I see that they charge you, let's see here, $87 for the BC assessment. So, you know, the person, you know, assessing the property value of your home and, you know, doing the work, okay, yeah, he has to get paid, okay. He got paid $87, okay, and 63 cents. Metro Vancouver, I'm not sure what that is, but you had to pay $138 and $138.91 for that. Municipal Finance Authority, okay, I'm not sure what that is either, but had to pay 49 cents for that. General Levy, okay, well, that was, you know, a lot of money right there, okay, because it's, you know, 4,445. And then garbage cart, $166 for that. Sewer dwelling, $238. Street clean, street cleaning, $24. Sewer dwelling $1,173. Okay. Water one dwelling, $867. Okay. Net levies from the city of Vancouver, it totaled up to $69,1303. Okay. And okay, so total taxes for 2025, okay, it says here, you know, what is it, $10,104.64, okay, and I see that I get some sort of payment adjustments, okay, so, you know, that gave me a credit of, what is it, 4688, 4,688. Okay, so that was subtracted from, I see, from the total taxes, and it comes out to, yeah, $5,400 and $5,416.64. I have until what is it here? July 3rd, 2025 to pay it up. Okay. So there'll be a lot of other people around Vancouver, okay, you know, getting this letter too from the city. And the people that are, you know, more expensive neighborhoods, okay, of course their property tax would be a lot higher, okay. I know that my neighbor, okay, he did tell me that he's not paying his property taxes, okay. I don't know how long it's been, okay? And, you know, I know that he's not that young anymore. I think he told me he's 73, okay? And, I still remember he was telling me how he wants to, you know, just sell some of his mom's gold. And I said, you know, why do you want to sell your mom's gold? Hold on to it. Gold's going up. He goes, well, I'm 73 now, and, you know, I'm not that young anymore. So, you know, that makes sense, okay?